Nick, are you buying the Rockets can make a title run with the small ball formula that they have now run all the way up till right now?
Oh, yes. I've bought it all year. Before the season, I said Rockets, Lakers in the conference finals, and the winner of that's going to win the title. The bracket fell in a way. We're going to get Rockets, Lakers in the conference semifinals, and the winner of that series is going to win the title. That's how I felt all year, and nothing has dissuaded me from that. The only thing that would have been a serious injury. Luckily, it looks like Russ's injury is a less than serious injury, and now he's got extra time to rest. I feel for Oklahoma City because it would appear they are what many of us feared they were, which was a team that absolutely maximized everything they were in the regular season, which then meant they didn't have another gear to get to in the postseason, and it looks like that's what's being exposed here. But folks don't need to like the aesthetics of the way the Rockets play basketball. They don't need to like the manipulation of the way the Rockets play basketball. But if I may be nerdy for a moment, the math is going to win out here. And when you shoot 53s, you are at such an overwhelming advantage. It's just the NBA's got two fixes if they want to put a stop to this. Change it from 3s and 2s to 4s and 3s, so it's only a 33% premium, which they'll never do, or make the arc an actual arc so it runs totally to the out-of-bounds line and there are no more corner threes. Those are your options. Otherwise, this is not only here to stay, it's going to spread like a disease throughout the league. In the meantime, Antoine, the Rockets are the only team doing it. They've got a player built to do it better than maybe any player ever in James Harden, and they absolutely are on the very, very short list of teams that can win a title this year, seeing what they're doing without Russ, and last night what they did, or yesterday afternoon, with Harden playing poorly, Antoine.
I would like to start. I don't believe Houston, obviously, I don't believe they can win a title with their style of play. They've been terrific the first two games. I do not want to take anything away from those guys. Their style of play has played out. Their role players have been exceptional. If I'm OKC and Jeff Green and Daniel House Jr. have beat me the first two nights, I got to feel pretty good. James Harden had a subpar night last night. They got to figure out different ways to get this three-guard lineup. I think the problem with OKC is that they're trying to play like Houston. And, Nick, you just alluded to it. It's only one team that can play like Houston, that can shoot 53s. But if you watch OKC, their drive, they're in pick and rolls, and they got three great guards this year, but they're shooting too many threes. They're not attacking the basket. They're not getting to the foul line. With Houston, you got to slow the game down. They're a very unique group that can play a certain style and shoot 53s. You don't play the game they play. You try to overpower them. Not saying that OKC has a ton of size, but you use Steven Adams a lot. You try to bang them inside. You slow the game down. You don't play that game. I just think the game plan that OKC's came in with in the playoffs hasn't worked. And also, Nick, we got to understand, too, OKC is very young. You're asking these two young guys. I think sometimes because Chris Paul has had such a grett year, we think that the other guys on the team are ready for this challenge. And they're not. Schroeder and obviously Shea Alexander, they're not ready for this challenge. They're in the playoffs very young in their career, and they're not ready for this. And you're seeing the experience of Houston take full advantage of this with their energy, their effort. Houston's the best switching team in the league. They have extended their defense. Their defense has been amazing the first two games. But to say they're ready to win a title, I don't believe they're at that level yet. They've been very exceptional the first two games shooting the three. When they make 20 and then 19 threes, of course they're hard to beat. But I'm gonna take my chances. If we thinking ahead, if they do get to play the Lakers, I'm gonna take my chance with them trying to shoot 53s against the Lakers. We'll see how far that gets you, but we'll talk about that when we get to that.
Antoine, I don't think they're going to take 53s against the Lakers. I could see them taking 63s, Nick. The league average is 34. They average 45. They took 56 last night. It's like every time, it's like Jeff Bezos' net wealth. You hear it, there's an article about it every other day, like, made another $200 million yesterday, new richest man in the world. And then you wait a week like, hey, I got an article, Jeff Bezos, richer than ever. People like getting stuff from Amazon. It's never going to stop. So, Nick, I do think the rebounding is just this, like, huge flaw in the system. But the idea that Daryl and Mike D'Antoni are going to stop shooting threes and we're going to stop at 56 like we're good, I think we're going to see 63s maybe in this playoffs, maybe next year, but it's not going to stop.
Well, and if people think Wilds is being over the top there, 5 games in NBA playoff history as a team shot 53s. All 5 were by the Houston Rockets. So 53s was thought to be impossible until the Rockets started doing it. So 63s, I would agree, is en route at some point. Couple quick things. On the rebounding, I've made this point before. I'm going to make it again. If you buy a Ferrari and then just regularly say, hey, man, no trunk space. I can't believe it. I can't load my family in here and go on a road trip. You knew that going in. It's not like the rebounding is catching them off guard. They decided we have to sacrifice something to build this type of team. Rebounding is what they're sacrificing. That's the first point. The second point to Antoine about it, Ben McLemore, Jeff Green, Austin Rivers, Daniel House, those 4 guys have all had really big games individually in games 1 or 2. While that feels a little outlier-ish, and I want to ask your take on this, Antoine, I would imagine for that type of player, playing with the Rockets is somewhat freeing. And by that I mean you get to Houston, and no matter what type of three-point shooter you are told for the first time in your career, shoot every 3 you can. I do feel like, even though you're down on the Rockets, man, vintage Antoine Walker would have loved playing for this Rockets team. And so I do feel like if you're Jeff Green and you've been playing in the league and coaches get annoyed when you shoot threes, and now you're finally on a team where Austin Rivers, where the coach is like, shoot as many threes as you can, you might get the best version of that player. Like, is that legitimate in your eyes, Antoine?
1,000%. Instilling confidence in the shooter or a guy who may have a little lack of confidence is the greatest thing. And D'Antoni does a great job of giving these guys the green light. And we're seeing the best version of the Houston Rockets. These first 2 games, they can't play any better. The best thing that's happened for the Houston Rockets, and I said this on Wednesday, they probably just bought Russell Westbrook another 7 days to get healthy. Yep. And we're really not looking at that. But now he gets an opportunity. They can rest him for the next 3 games if they want to and still get out this series. And that's what's huge about what they did the first 2 games. Houston has allowed one of their best players, their second best player, to get the rest he needs and to get healthy, because they're going to have a grueling second round series, whether it's the Lakers or the Portland Trail Blazers. But Nick, you are 100% right. I would love to play for the Houston Rockets. I already had confidence, so I didn't need the confidence of a Jeff Green, a Ben McLemore, Daniel House Jr. I don't need that confidence. I'm gonna shoot it anyway. But I would have loved to play with them. If I could get 10 threes up a game, I would have made. I made $100 million playing. I probably made about 250, Nick. I'd have made about 250 playing if I could have played for Houston.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.